Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel and editorial discussion for 20th April 2022. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall discuss an editorial from the Indian Express which is titled India's Wheat Opportunity. This editorial talks about the possibility of wheat export from India to the whole world and what are the issues with the same. Very important editorial from the perspective of Indian economy, Indian agriculture, export of items, government, PDS supplies, government policies, etc. If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, and subscribes. Let's discuss the intricacies. The editorial says that this war conflict between Russia and Ukraine possibly provides a huge opportunity for India to export its surplus wheat items. Russia being one country, the first and foremost country to be able to export wheat around the whole world, and Ukraine being the fifth most relevant country in the same respect, both the countries account for 30% of wheat export for the whole world. And possibly during these times when they might not be able to do that because of war crisis, because of sanctions imposed on Russia, maybe India can export some of the supplies. Also, looking at the image on the right side, the the MSP rates are increasing only slowly. However, if you look at the international market of wheat, the prices of wheat at international market has drastically increased. So instead of farmers getting some decent amount only, they can get double the amount in international market. Is it not possible? Yes, it is possible. But then possibility has some issues as well. So let's understand the possibilities first. 100 million ton plus of procurement of wheat production in the last year consistently and this year as well. So wheat production is sufficient. Wheat stocks are also very good. 23 million tons of wheat stock right now at the end of February. And now we will be seeing more wheat coming in from the winter season, Rabi season. We will see more wheat coming in at FCI supplies. So we will have a surplus. Last year, we also exported 7 million tons of wheat, which is a good thing, most of it to Bangladesh, right? So, also last year, we had a lot of stock, which was far more than the buffer norms required at the beginning of every quarter. So this indicates that possibly we have got quite a few million tons of supplies which can be exported and we can gain a lot of advantage. But then there are issues. See, the first issue is that if you see 25 million tons of extra wheat items that we see in FCI go downs, it is because we have saved it for 5 years. 5 years of saving. So 5 million ton is what we are saving, not much. Right. And 1 year, if we see a crisis, the production will be lesser than the consumption in India, and we will again be in crisis mode. So therefore, we can't do this. We can't export just a small quantity. In fact, these countries, Russia and Ukraine, they account for 60 million ton of wheat exported. And just exporting 2, 3, or 5 million ton that we save every year, this is not going to fulfill the need of the whole world, right? And speaking of the profit that India can gain, there can be economic repercussions as well. For example, there are contracts between parties. If India said that India will export to Egypt or to Bangladesh or to any other economy, India must do it every year consistently. But next year we don't know what will be the prices of wheat in the country. And similar to what happened in Indonesia, example oil palm crisis, where Indonesia has not been able to respect its promises made to India for export. India is curtailing the oil palm exports to India just because it needs to blend oil palm with petroleum, just because it has got further more domestic demands of oil palm now. So this is not good for a country being a reliable trading partner. Exporting 1 year 2 3 million tons, just a small amount, and then next year we are not exporting. This is the reason that India is exporting only 1% of global wheat exports. India is not among the top 20 countries which are exporters of wheat. In fact, China is also not. India and China being the first, the largest producer of wheat, followed by India. None of these countries are in this exporting nation list, right? Top 20. It is because both of them have a huge population they want to feed, right? Not only this, if we start exporting wheat and if there is a high food inflation in the country, the political appetite will is very low. There'll be a lot of protest by the political parties against this kind of small export as well, right? So these are the challenges. There are far more challenges. Let's discuss this now. Government procures almost 40% of the wheat production of the country. That is, say 100 million tons, 40 million ton the government will procure through FCI straight away. Now, so FCI is holding all this surplus grain, and export will happen only when the export price is far higher than MSP. Because if it is around MSP, people will sell to the government only, FCI only. If the procurement price at international market is far higher than they will sell at the export market. Absolutely true. This does not happen everywhere. Export market need not be this inflated every year. So this is one factor. Along with that, India has got commitments with World Trade Organization. WTO says that once you've given so much of input subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, seed subsidy, water, electricity, a lot of other things to farmers, you cannot be straight away selling in the world market. So therefore, what India does is that India, if there are excess production, India will supply it to domestic market, and there are people who procure it at wholesale level, and from this market it is exported then globally. Now see, this elongated chain will have middle persons, right? The whole persons who are procurers and wholesalers, so they will also look for their profit. This whole margin has to be looked into while giving the profit to the producer, that is farmer, in the international market, right? So this huge margin will happen only when the export market is exceedingly high. The cost here is exceedingly high. So usually farmer production and then goes to FCI, government agencies, fair price shops, and distribution to above poverty line, below poverty line families. The extra of it is later exported through government and then wholesalers, and after that the export market, right? So this is how the chain follows, which is extra long and then requires more personnel, and this increases the cost of complete transaction, right? So this happens very rarely, right? Now, we also have to pay extra price for export of our food products, not only food products, any product. A simple example is the rail freight prices. The rail freight prices in India per ton movement for 1 kilometer is 1.2 rupees, and this is more than the prices, global average only. The road transport is even higher. Road transport is like 4.5 rupees, 3.5 rupees. All this depends upon the distance. If the item is getting procured from Madhya Pradesh and the distance is lesser to an export seaport, then the price will be less. The price will be more if it is more continental, right? Road transport is also costly. Rail freight is absolutely costly, which is cross subsidizing for the passengers. Not only that, the logistics cost overall, not only food, if you want to move anything over the uh, roads or rail freight, it is very costly in India. So India spends 13% of the GDP in logistical cost only, and global average is 8%. It is what standard must be maintained for the country. So we are spending more overall on our movement of goods, and this is not good for economy, right? So not export competitive now. Container handling charges are also high in India, and this is with the competing economies like Thailand and Vietnam, almost double that of Thailand and far more than Vietnam. We also take time, right? So have a look at the shortcomings. These are shortcomings just for gaining a few million tons of wheat export, right? What is the opportunity then? If there is a challenge, there is some opportunity. The opportunity is time of trade. Reduce the time of trade. Make the time of trade for all the other goods which are possibly to be exported as low. Have machines, have cranes, have the systems automated. Reduce the cost of trade, whether it be continental or marine, both of them to be done. Let us look at the importers. Let us not export to those nations which are farther off. Let us start exporting to those nations which are near. And that is why India exports to Bangladesh, Southeast Asian economies, countries in the Middle East first, and goes farther beyond like Egypt and Turkey lesser. Now, these are the countries which are importing from Russia and Ukraine. Many of them are close to Russia and Ukraine. That is why the costs are fairly economical. All right. One must also look at non-price attributes for export. What is that? Non-tariff barriers. Simple example is the case of Egypt. Egypt has said no, that India can export wheat to Egypt, but then it has said doesn't mean you give us anything and we'll take anything. We will conduct a check if the pest, fungi, all of those things are there or not. Pesticides have to be of only specific kind. You can't put any kind of pesticides. We will do a check on this. And Egypt also says that importing from Black Sea region was economical for us, and importing from India is still economical as compared to European imports. So then we will import from India, right? So look at non-price attributes. See, many of the imports which happen from India to European countries and USA, a good proportion of these imports are rejected. It is because of the food safety quality parameters which we do not sufficiently fulfill. Even though products are few, the rejection rate is very high. right? So we have to improve on timing of trade, composition of importers. We have to work on this. We have to work on non-tariff barriers or non-price attributes like quality of food, specific variety which needs export. And then we also have to handle the heterodox nature of our foreign trade. For example, we want to export a lot, but we don't want to import from those countries, right? So this is going to create a difficulty in the midterm and longer term. We have to honor our commitments. This is important. Expansion of any trade, export has happened because of newer products, newer varieties, and newer customers. Why are we trying to thrust wheat export, which is the same product of similar variety, or to the same customers of the world market? So let us have some innovations in the exporting items. Now, there's a very insightful editorial talking about the harms of exporting wheat in this particular year. Also gave you a couple of case studies. Now, have a look at this. India and export partners for wheat are Bangladesh, Nepal, UAE, Sri Lanka, and after that some countries in Southeast Asia and the Arab world. All right. Though in this image it is very clearly visible that the total amount export volume that we have had immense gain, right? Immense gain, 215% high of the collection. That is true. But then if you see the cost benefit, it is not in proportion to what we actually require in the long term, right? This is not a huge quantity. But then next year, if there's a shortfall of the production, what happens? Have a look. This is the image speaking about the shortfall of production. The last year, see, orange is the production and gray is consumption. Consumption lesser than production. Consumption lesser than production. But there are years when the consumption is more than production. Look at the year 2015-16. Look at the year 2016-17. The production is lesser than the consumption. Are we able to save? No. We will be in crisis. There will be political crisis, economic crisis. Food prices of wheat will be very high. So let's not export a couple of million tons of wheat. Very important. And let's save them for the country. Let's have some newer products, newer markets, and some innovations. So procurement, just because for the curious souls, procurement by FCI 40 plus million tons by the country, projecting a record output of 100 plus million tons both the years, last year and this year. And we are also expecting a decent import of 7 million tons this year as well, right? Prices are rising. Absolutely, prices are rising in the market for wheat, in the internal market as well. So right now the system is such that after harvesting of wheat, it is carried to the nearest mandis. The government wants to procure through FCI, they will procure. Or if the people want to, traders want to supply it to the local market, they will supply it to the local market at lower prices only. Nobody gets, the farmer does not get good lucrative prices for extra products, right? Extra food items which are not procured by FCI. So what is required is contract farming, right? There have to be entities. For example, ITC is a company. ITC procures from the people themselves. So there have to be such contract farming where people also get advantage, right? And people are able to export to the market. Now see, if India was a WTO compliant nation straight away, not giving input subsidies, we could have straight away sold, provided we had domestic laws to sell the agriculture produce in the international market, right? So free market. But that is not there in a country like India. So a lot of aspects discussed about food grain and specifically wheat export. Hope this was a good discussion. Now, a small question: mention 3 advantages and 5 issues with the export of wheat from India. A very important question. Exercise your brain. Answer lies in the discussion that we just conducted. And if you exercise your brain, questions like this will come in examination, and that time answers will be ready, provided you do a brainstorming right now and put the answers in the comment section. Now, if in case you have any questions, doubt, just put that down in the comment section again, and we will get back to you. And if you like this initiative and this effort, shower some love through likes, comments, and subscribes. Thank you for watching.